So about 300,000 households that were eligible did not apply for the program and missed out on some great money, which provides eligible homeowners a rebate of such as $1,500 and renters $450 to help offset New Jersey's notoriously high property taxes. And folks, know that Illinois residents can also receive the two rebates if they qualify. One is for income, the other is based on property taxes. The rate of return of income is based on between $50 to $100, based on claimed income of up to $100,000 and $200,000. Now, one governor in New Mexico has signed into law some key tax priorities, including a $500 rebate for more than 900,000 taxpayers. Additionally, she has also signed a tax provision designed to help New Mexico families by expanding the child tax credit and increasing the gross receipts that tax deduction for healthcare practitioners and the film tax credit can get. Now, starting in June, just know that rebates, which is basically free money, $500 will be given to single filers, and rebates of up to $1,000 will be given to married couples, heads of households, and even surviving spouses. The governor said that a separate fund of $15 million will be given to the Human Services Department just to provide some relief payments to the low income. Folks, we have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you don't want to miss out on this. Because here's a new update. Now, many of the low-income households will qualify for a fourth stimulus check. There are at least 3 states considering sending over relief for the next few months. Checks can range from as much as $100 to thousands of dollars, even more. But back in 2020, things were looking bleak with the crisis raging and uncertainty about what to come next. Now then, there was some positive news when it was announced that stimulus checks will be sent out to Americans who are finding themselves in dire financial straits just due to the global shutdown. Several states already plan to send residents stimulus checks in 2023, and that's good. California has already approved the middle class tax refund, which has provided you up to $1,000 on a single tax filer. This is free money, free stimulus money just for you. Plus, California has already approved the middle class tax refund, with already as much as $1,000 going to people that qualify for the payment. Plus, a few more states may soon see another stimulus package, plus income tax rebates, plus gas rebates. Money's going back to the American citizens where it belongs. Because on the table in the state of Kentucky is a taxpayer rebate program worth $1 billion from the state's budget surplus. Now, if the bill passes, those who are eligible stand to receive a one-time payment of up to $500 and $1,000 for the couples filing jointly. Montana has a $1 billion budget surplus for the year, and 2 proposals Republicans are factioning with the state legislature have introduced a bill, one legislation to return that to residents in taxpayer rebate programs. One proposal suggests $1,000 for homeowners, another says that private property tax is important, and $1,250 can go to the residents in certain states who paid state income taxes as well. The other proposal asks for a $3,000 income tax rebate.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to celebrate a win for American farmers, ranchers, and agriculture producers. Fertilizer prices have been skyrocketing for over a year now, and with the cost of urea ammonium nitrate in particular rising at record highs. Since March, I have been urging the U.S. International Trade Commission to suspend duties on UAN imports from Trinidad and Tobago, and this week they did just that. On July 18th, the U.S. International Trade Commission rejected imposing final duties on urea ammonium nitrate, UAN, in its determination that anti-dumping activities surrounding UAN fertilizers in Trinidad and Tobago did not harm the U.S. fertilizer industry. With this determination, the ITC has finally responded to my 3 letters dating back to March, the legislation that I introduced in that same month, and my testimony before them.
The progressive wing of the Democratic Party, as well as Chuck Schumer and Warnock, who faces a tough re-election bid this fall, were among those pushing for Biden to forgive $50,000 per borrower. Throughout the public and private pressure campaign, the White House has touted its efforts to help with student loan debt through its work with the public service, loan forgiveness, and the income-driven repayment programs. Shocking news, everybody. President Biden will be announcing his brand new plan to help millions of Americans financially. Lawmakers in the House and Senate are now meeting to discuss the future stimulus package. Some GOP lawmakers are insistent that this relief be more targeted. And now, here's some exciting news. Biden has said today to announce that he will forgive $10,000 in student loan debt for millions of borrowers who fall below an income cap. After weighing executive action for months, the president is expected to reveal his long-awaited decision. The action is also expected to include extending until to include extending until January a moratorium on federal student loan payments, which was implemented during the crisis, set to expire at the end of this month. But Biden has said he will make a decision by August 31st, and Biden faces increasing pressure from progressive Democrats to cancel an even larger share of debt for Americans who took federal loans to pay for college. Some Democratic economists, including Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, worry about the risk of debt cancellation exacerbating 40-year high inflation. But the White House has zeroed in on a plan that would cancel $10,000 in student loan debt per eligible borrower, according to sources at least, matching a figure that Biden campaigned on. The White House has also discussed expanding relief beyond $10,000 for borrowers who meet certain criteria. The debt cancellation will be limited to borrowers with family incomes of $125,000 or less, and would apply only to people with federal loans, not private ones. More than 43 million people have federal student loan debt in the United States, and the average borrower has about $37,000. According to data compiled by the Education Data Initiative, the outstanding federal loan debt is about $1.6 trillion. Biden said in April that he was taking a hard look at executive action to forgive federal student loan debt, chief among the White House considerations in the months that followed. The possible impact on inflation that has soared throughout the year, canceling potentially up to $10,000 in student loan debt, would mean billions more collectively staying in the pockets of Americans. Some critics argue the extra money for consumers to spend risk stoking demand and further accelerating historic inflation. Biden's approval rating rose this week to its highest level since June. A new poll found that 41% of Americans approve of Biden's job performance. It was his first time above 40% since early June. In 4 of the last 5 weeks, Biden's rating rose as the Democratic-controlled Congress passed a large piece of legislation to fight climate change and lower prescription prices. Now some states are changing their minds on the next round of relief. Recently, John Velas was about lawmakers' decision to scrap the stimulus checks which were promised to middle-income residents.
Reserves. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's pleased to yield 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from Virginia who has had a...
Lawmakers decided that with the uncertainty of the country's economic future, inflation, and a possible looming recession, they cannot risk giving so much money away to Massachusetts residents. Although nothing is set in stone regarding Governor Baker's announcement on the tax rebate checks, Senator Velas believes it will be a credit added to 2022 taxes instead of a check in the mail. Before the change in decision, the Baker administration predicted that taxpayers could expect to see 7% of their 2021 income taxes returned, translating to around $250 for an individual earning $75,000. Thousands of dollars have already been approved by President Biden and the White House. These programs will help many Americans that are experiencing financial difficulties and affording basic necessities. The Federal Reserve is rapidly raising interest rates in order to fight inflation, announcing another sharp upward bump July 27th. And while no one likes inflation, Congress and the President must acknowledge that the sudden rise in rates can negatively affect many Americans. Rising interest rates don't affect everyone with the same way, but borrowers will pay more, and with home prices in many places already through the roof, those higher payments will cripple the ability of many people to buy a home. Nationally, the rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage has nearly doubled in the past year, and that was before the Fed's latest announcement.